Welcome everyone. Welcome to another preview. This is MetalCanyon, and we'll be checking out the demo version of Tank Mechanic Simulator, developed by the Generals. Now, we've had plenty of mechanic simulators over the past few years. We've had the Car Mechanic Simulator, Car Mechanic Simulator 2, both of which I did a Let's Play of. We've had a very interesting Plane Mechanic Simulator, which is still in early access. I believe there's a Motorcycle Mechanic Simulator coming. I also did a Let's Play of Train Mechanic Simulator. It's this odd, but oddly satisfying niche of mechanic, sort of casual games that are kind of time wasters, but kind of nice as well. And this is now a tank mechanic simulator. So you might wonder how the heck they're going to pull this one off. Well, I mean, one, it's obvious. We're going to be fiddling around with tanks and taking them apart and so on and so forth. But there's more to it. But my question was mostly to do with how are they going to play the whole economy thing? Because in the car mechanic simulators and the... well, not the plane mechanic. The car mechanic simulators, you were basically running your own shop. And, you know, you were basically a car mechanic. Just like in real life, you took on orders from people, fixed their cars, and so on and so forth. But you could also buy your own cars and, you know, restore them and then sell them on auction. Oh, here's a Sherman I restored. So yeah, this is a little bit funny because in Tank Mechanic Simulator, it's very similar to Car Mechanic Simulator in the way that this is your own shop and you restore tanks. That is your profession. And people message you with like, help, I need help. I have a Sherman in my garage and it needs restoration. I know I'm nitpicking. This horribly loud computer. Let's look at the mailbox. I know I'm nitpicking, but it's just so funny to me. Here, look. Need help. Hello there. I have available KV1 and it needs some renovation to be in perfect condition. Let me know. Bye, Bob. It's just like, how many times have mechanics received messages about people just having random tanks laying about in their garages? And, you know, help me. You'd think that it would be mostly museums and maybe some very, very rare private owners that would contact special, you know, restore mechanics or mechanic shops like that. But anyway, like I said, I'm nitpicking. Let's look at the meat of the game. Like I said, this is a Sherman I've already restored. I'll tell you a little bit about how the restoration goes around, but you can see that there's quite a few options. You can go below the tank, you can go above the tank, you can actually remove the turret, you can remove the engine. Let's actually do that. Let me show you. So you can remove the engine, just like that. And there you go. You can actually take apart all the little parts. So far, I did not find a need to do any of that, because right now all the restoration had to do with rust removal, sanding, priming, and then painting. As you can see there on the right, paint is actually 99% done on the Sherman, so I've probably missed a little tiny spot somewhere. Actually, I just didn't have the paint gun on the particular spot for long enough. Well, I'll show you how that goes. Anyway, let's put this back into the Sherman. Now, if we go up here, up these stairs, you can also jump. And the nice thing is you can also interact with the tank in some limited ways. You can open hatches to expose the engine, for example. You also have to fill it with... let me see, have I already done that actually? I don't think I have. Where is that? No, that's not it. Let me see, I forgot. Was it test drive? Yeah. I don't understand why the fluid menu is under test drive, but okay. So let's go to fuel container. I think this is, yeah, this would be petrol. I think the germ. Oh, I didn't get this animation last time in the Tiger tank. That's interesting. So now you can actually see how these fuel tanks are filled. That's pretty cool. All right, let's get out of that. Yeah, I think only really the Russian tanks used diesel in World War II. Right, let's go for the oil. Now, oil, you don't seem to have to choose. And the really weird thing is, you can only choose between fuel 1. Let me show you, actually. Open fuel container menu. See, fill fuel container number 1 or container number 2. What's the difference? I had to guess that number 1 is petrol and number 2 is diesel. But, you know, oh well. And that's it. Now, test drive, unfortunately, is not available. I know it says it's is not unlocked, but it's not actually available in the demo. But you can turn the engine on. There we go. And it'll start up. Coolant is not filled. Oh, what? I never did the coolant. Oh, there it is, of course. So fortunately, the game does prevent you from actually starting the engine without oil or coolant or stuff like that. Alright, let's do that again. No, not test drive. Toggle the engine. There it is. Of course, the vents are closed, the doors are closed, but it's quite a nice sound. I believe that's they recorded the actual sounds of the engine, so that's very nice. Okay, let's shut this off before we completely suffocate. There we go. All right, let me also show you before we get into the nitty gritty. There's my Tiger tank. Look at that thing. I actually painted that. I went a little crazy with it. I painted camouflage on it. I gave it giant Wehrmacht symbols. I believe that's a Wehrmacht symbol anyway. And look at this beast. I mean, these things are ridiculously huge. I'm not sure if that's actually to scale. I think the Sherman should be a lot smaller than this thing, actually. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Like I said, let me show you with the Sherman. You can also take the turret down. But you can also get into the tank yourself. So for example here, you can see the stuff in the turret, the gunner seats, the loaders, and all of that stuff. But you can also get into the tank and see some of the internals. There's not too much detail right now, but maybe that's really a good idea. So there's a lot of chests, coffers in this one. There's a transmission. You've got the levers here for operating the tank. More lockers, the missile stand, or the missiles, of course, which are... Oh yeah, they're on the turret. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. You can then put this back. And then using the menu, by pressing R, you can actually get the inside of the tank. And you've got the commander slot, gunner, loader, driver, and radio operator slot. So let's go into the commander slot. So there we go. Of course, this would be the view outside. I think through the prism, but there's nothing there. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting. Mostly it's useful for actually getting into the tank and spraying stuff and so on and so forth. So let's get out and let's actually sell this tank. Tank status menu, analysis. So there we go, everything is at 100% apart from paint, but that's fine. And the tank is now valued at $42,000 only. Which is kind of funny because you can get tanks for a lot less. I mean, not in real life, but yeah, if they didn't go for realistic values here. So, wait. Oh, how do I sell the tank? Module menu, assembly mode. Okay, right. Maybe it's done on the computer. I haven't actually ever sold a tank before. No. What's this? Okay, I'm confused. Let's repark this tank somewhere. Okay, there's the parts. Some of the parts I overbought because I was still learning the game. Alright, let's move the tank. Paint your parking workshop. Let's move it to parking. There. So now it's going to go outside to parking. So let me show you how this is done. And before we do that, we're actually going to do this one. Grab your shovel. We found something. What's going on? There we go. Why is this one? Oh, was that not my tank? Oh yeah, that was not my tank. The tiger tank is mine. This one was for Maria. And yeah, I'm not really sure how I actually finished this thing. But let's go for the grab your shovel. We found something. We have run into information that there is a tank ready to be extracted. Are you interested? So let's accept this offer. Now, that is a very loud disc. I would replace that. That's on its last legs. So what this game also entails is not just renovating tanks, which, like I said, I will show you very soon. But you can also... Darn it, you can also go and search for tanks. Oh yeah, we need to... How the heck do we do that again? Okay, hold on. Oh yeah, before we continue, I just wanted to show you the beautiful, beautiful yard of our shop. It is an absolute marvel of modern design. Here's our Sherman tank, just, you know, waiting out in the rain. And yeah, right now we need to actually go to the place where we will be extracting that tank that they told us about. Unfortunately, I once again forgot how to do that. Hold on. Ah, yeah, there it is. It's in the organizer, of course. You know, it doesn't help if you're just randomly running around like a headless chicken. There we go. Need help with restoration. Required repairs. Required assembly. So we went way beyond what was required. Let's finish the order. There we go. And we got 10,000 for that. And also 25 up arrows. I guess that's reputation. Oh yeah, that's experience points, I believe, that you can use for that. Right, so let's go and start the extraction on the tank. So right now in the demo, there's 3 tanks. There's a KV-1, the Sherman, and the Tiger tank, of course. In the full release, there's going to be more tanks. There's also, according to the splash screens, there's also going to be a half-track, a German half-track, which should be quite interesting. But like I said, they also have a test drive area planned. Apparently also an area where you can actually shoot with the guns. Well, this is not getting recorded, is it? It is. Lovely. My timer wasn't running. Yeah, and now you also have these extraction missions. This one actually looks a lot worse than the previous ones. It doesn't look as nice. But basically what is happening is you have to find a tank somewhere on this map. So this is the general area where it's supposed to be. So we'll take our Jeep. Oops. We'll get in. Alpha 7, show the controls. There we go. I have to figure out which button is for the toggle engine. Toggle lights. No. This preview is not going well. I'm trying to figure out, because you can see it says show controls, but it says Alpha 2. There we go. So we have to get on to the other side there. Whoa. That's some interesting physics. Oh, it's because of the mud. Is it actually deforming? Yes, it is. That's interesting. I haven't seen that before. It's actually deforming. Wow. Okay. I have not experienced that before. That's why the very strange physics were going on. Let's call the towing service. Apparently that's free of charge. Alright, so we need to get to the other side, like I said. Alright, let's just drive around there. And basically the way you find the tank is you drive over there and then use your metal detector to try and find the spot where the tank is buried. And then you need to find it by using a shovel and then calling the the big guns to actually extract the tank. It's kind of neat having this little mini game. This Jeep is horrendously slow and cumbersome, but I guess it'll have to do for now. There's also upgrades where you can get drones, you can get improved tools for actually finding the tank. Alright. Stop! Alright. Wow, those tires are... Yeah. I said stop. Yeah, there we go. No. I like that. Alright, so now we're gonna get our metal detector and go in... Oh. No, there's nothing here. And now we simply have to run around this giant circle to try and find where this tank is buried. Now... There we go. That was easy. There it is. Alright, so we're going to put a... little flag over there. So we know where to dig. Now usually you should really use some sort of logic to your running about, but now I've sort of learned that it's mostly in the center, these tanks. There we go, so we know where the tank is. We can actually drop this and call the all the services, right? What the heck? Return to laptop and call for excavation. There we go. It's actually telling me that. Yeah, I do apologize. It seems like most of this preview is just me trying to figure things out again, because the tutorial has told me everything. Ah, there we go. So this, and the cost of operation is $0 for some reason. Start the pump. We have found something. We ran into a water source. Pump it out. Well, if it's a water source, we won't really be able to pump it out. So yeah, there's all the trucker stuff. Fortunately, all this stuff costs 0. Or military zone, warning, restricted area, research area. Alright. So, every tank extraction will have something different. Sometimes it'll just be dirty. Sometimes you'll actually have water, and you need to pump the water out. So, there we go. So the water is going down now. And after that is done, we actually have to pressure wash the tank. Where is the pressure washer? Oh, there it is. So we have to use a pressure washer and wash parts of the tank. Now, remember this mechanic here that we're going to be doing. Oh, this is another... What is that? Oh, that's a Tiger tank, but with like a broken turret, yeah. Or maybe it's just a really short one? Anyway, remember this mechanic. See that? That part is now clean. So if I point at the turret... There. So this is the mechanic that will be used throughout most of the game. Let me actually shut that thing off because it's bloody loud. Right. So this will be used throughout most of the game. Which is kind of the problem, I feel. So we only need to clean 30% of the tank before we pull it out. Well... I don't know if things actually have to be 100% clean for them to count. But yeah, it doesn't seem to depend on the size of the things you're washing. It just seems to depend on the number of components you've washed. Go. To the turret and the mantle, the mantlet. We've already washed that. 26%. Almost there. We could use the shovel to extract more of the tank. Alright, what else is there we can wash? There we go. So open the radial menu and load it onto a truck. There we go. There, now it's actually slightly floating on the truck. And now we can go back to the shop. So let's do that. 8% tank state, that's not very good. Extracted money spent 1,000. There we go, we're back in the shop. And finally, after 20 minutes of babbling in this video, we're finally to the nitty-gritty of the game, to the actual tank mechanic part. So here's our tank, and it's in a pretty poor shape. The actual cannon, the front part is missing. A lot of the wheels are missing. The tracks are missing. On the other side as well, even worse so. Let's see inside. Oh no, I didn't want to actually open this. Some of these covers are missing. The engine is all still there, it seems. Now, so let me show you how restoration works in this game. First of all, you have to remove all the rust from the tank, and this is done by pointing the rust gun at parts. Now, this part and this part and this chassis part are different, but the way it works is where I point the rust gun with the reticle, it actually creates sort of a sphere of influence, I guess. And all the items within that sphere, like so, will get affected. Which is quite nice, and I feel necessary, because otherwise it would be just a real hassle to try and get all of the items derusted and so on and so forth. So, I will only do one side of the tank here just to show you the gist of it. So you have to remove the rust. As you can see, there's a percentage going up to 100%. And there's lots of little things on the tank. You have to remove the turret as well. Do the stuff within the turret, within the actual tank. There's a lot of things to go through. And at first I was quite excited about this because, you know, it's kind of cool. But it turns out that there's a lot of little parts of a tank which are kind of hidden away. So, for example, even though each tool pretty much creates a sphere of influence, there will be little parts like those parts over there. You can see that? Let me actually do this. Okay, never mind. I'll also speak about that in just a moment. You see that part and that part over there? You know, you could easily miss them. But you have to do them if you want to do this 100%. And of course, this doesn't have the range. So one of the options is to actually remove the wheels. Another option is to try somehow to reach those areas and de-rust them from here. Or try to sort of see where they are and then use this. Yeah, there we go. And then use the influence of the sphere to de-rust them like this, blindly. And it's kind of annoying. And there's, especially in the Tiger tank, there's a lot of suspension stuff inside the tank. Let me show you. Let's go inside the tank. No, move the tank. Oh, bloody hell, where interior options. So let's go into the gunner slot, for example. So there's, you see these little things here, down here, there we go. The torsion bars, they're called. There's quite a few of them. I think there's like 8 of them, and a lot of them are actually hidden under the rest of the stuff, which means that you will often be able to miss them. Of course, later on, when you know what you're doing, you'll know that those are there. But it's quite annoying that you have to actually find everything like this and de-rust it. However, I wouldn't really complain about that if that was it. So let's get out of the tank. So this will take a fair bit. You have to de-rust the entire tank. You can see that we're only 26% done. Now, here's a problem with these percentage bars. One, even if you de-rust everything here, it won't reach probably even 80%. Why? Because pieces are missing. So until you actually build the entire tank, you won't know if you've de-rusted everything. Secondly, this view, the examine mode, doesn't help at all. Because right now we're removing the rust, and what I'd like to see is if I've removed the rust from these little things. And I can only do so by hovering over it, and it'll say sanding 0%, which means that rust removal is done. This thing where it completely paints the tank red does not help in the least, because this is the final completion of the tank. So if I had completely restored the tank, this would be green then. And even then, it already starts to begin green at like 70 or 80%, I think. So it's really not very helpful at all, unless in very specific cases. So anyway, this will take quite a while to do rust the tank. And now the next thing we need to do is to sand the tank with a sand blaster. So we need to sand this, and for some reason, this effect of the cloud of sand particles really likes to chew through your graphics card. We'll need to do some optimizations over there. But of course, this is a demo, so you know, not necessarily optimized. So this looks pretty cool, right? It's quite satisfying to do, I'll admit that. But just like before, if I point it like this, I'll do both of these covers, the mud guards. And it works just like before. You actually create a sphere at the reticle. And that then sandblasts whatever you're pointing at. And there we go. So that looks pretty cool, I think. And yeah, you don't actually need to do it sort of realistically, where you would have to actually go across the entirety of the tank. You just point it at different parts of the tank, and the game will do the rest as the bars load. So that's the second part. You need to do that to the entire tank, the entire interior, the engine, the turret, all the components inside, all the hidden stuff, for example. See, look at that. Those things have once again not been sanded or sandblasted. What are they? Doesn't actually say suspension. Okay, so those are not torsion bars. That's the suspension parts. There we go. So if we go inside, we still have those torsion bars to do. See those things there? Torsion bars? I cannot even reach it from here. So that's the second part you need to do. Then you need to take the paint gun and apply a primer to the tank. And if you look at this, see, now everything is turning green on the examination. Why? Well, it's not finished. That definitely not. We're just applying the primer. So we need to do this. And the fairly annoying thing is, or maybe not annoying and possibly good, but I find it annoying. If you, for example, prime this to 99%, let's say you painted the turret to 99%, you would not, I mean primed, you would not be able to paint it until you got the paint gun and primed this until it's 100%. So that's quite annoying. So you have to do that. There we go. Prime all of it, and then you need to press X and actually paint. See, this is, look, it's 88% sanded, so I cannot actually prime it. So now we press X, which changes this to a paint, and now we paint the actual outside, which is then the finished product of the restoration. Now you can also put it in the paint shop and then apply various custom details to it and camouflage and such, but there's quite a bit of work, and I really don't mind that because it is a mechanic simulator. That's the whole point. It wastes your time by doing this stuff and taking stuff apart, which I haven't even showed you yet, like in the other mechanic simulators. Here you can also, you know, unscrew things and take things apart. There you go. But right now, with all these tanks, I really didn't see any reason at all to do that. Because you can sand, blast, and paint, and prime, and rust remove, and everything. All the parts, usually with a little bit of hassle without taking them apart. Especially things like the tank engine. Let me show you that. You can do almost the entire thing because of the sphere of influence, the way, you know, the way these tools work. So there we go. If I point at something like this, and wait a little bit, and then point it here, and then point it here. See, pretty much all of the engine will be engulfed in that invisible sphere of influence, and it will have removed the rust from everything. So it's kind of a cheaty way to do it, but yeah, it really sort of defeats the point of taking this apart at all. So then you just have to take the sandblaster. Do I have to sandblast this? Yes, I do. There we go. And yeah, you only have to sandblast the engine afterwards. You don't actually have to paint it or anything like that. That's it. It's already finished. It's already restored, and it's ready to be run when you put some oil and stuff into it. It's kind of odd. But yeah, like I said, I would not be complaining about this in the least, because, you know, that's part of the game. You're playing a tank mechanic in this game. But the thing is, all of these tools are pretty much the same thing. The sandblaster, the paint gun, the rust removal gun, they all, in essence, do the same thing. You have to point them at things and wait until the load bar goes to 100%. Yeah, the visuals of the tank will change a little bit. It is fairly satisfying, especially with sandblasting, when you see the tank start shining, you know, and not be a rusty heap anymore. And it is quite satisfying putting the track belts on again, which incidentally, if I show you this, I already bought a tablet. If you go to the tank parts shop, fortunately, this is a world in which World War II tanks are aplenty apparently, and getting new parts for them is extraordinarily easy. In fact, getting any part for a World War II tank is extraordinarily easy. Which is kind of funny. So these are all the tanks we can buy for the Tiger tank. You can notice that it doesn't really deal with the chassis and such. It's only mostly details, some engine parts, and so on and so forth that you can replace. And sometimes that will be necessary with wooden parts, unlike the Sherman, for example, which obviously cannot be restored. But the Tiger tank, I think it's mostly all just steel. So that can be restored. But of course, things that are actually missing, you have to buy yourself. So then you go into the assembly mode, and it'll show you where things are missing. I think I already have some road wheels. There we go. And I don't have that part. So the one thing really nice about this is if you don't really want to buy all the things yourself, you know, figure out what's missing, you can go to... Oh, sorry. You can go to the tank analysis, and down here you can buy the missing parts. And that will automatically buy all the missing parts from the tank. There we go. It'll cost $17,620. But because you're using this method, everything will be almost twice as expensive. So you have to decide whether that's worth for you. You can use the easy method, which is almost twice as expensive, or you can go into assembly mode and see, okay, I need a road wheel, and an idler wheel, and a side mud guard, and a double wheel spacer, and so on and so forth. But the thing is, some of the stuff is not quite clear, because let me show you these road wheels, right? All of them are called road wheels. It doesn't matter whether they're these double ones or single ones. So here, this is a road wheel, this is a road wheel, and this is a road wheel. And these ones are single ones with these double extenders or whatever they are. And these are double ones, sort of, with those extenders. So if you go to the shop and type in wheel, or let's type in road. There we go. We've got these ones, single ones, double ones, and single ones without the extender. So sometimes it's not quite clear what you're supposed to buy. Unless, of course, you go into tank assembly mode. So now you can see it. But you know, when you're new to the game, it's a little bit confusing. Anyway, yeah, let me get back to the whole rant about the load bars. I like this game. It's really quite interesting. There's a lot of it going on. There's the upgrade thing with the reputation. That's our reputation. Where you can buy new tools like the angle grinder, which I found completely useless. You can buy the quad bike for extraction missions. You can buy stuff like more money, 50% more money you get, or museum level 1 to show your tanks to the public. And there's the test drive, which I think is not available. Yep, not available in that demo. What about the museum? Oh, the museum is available. Okay. So we could actually move that Sherman outside and the Tiger tank to the museum. Let's do that actually and check it out. I haven't seen that before. So, move the tank to the museum. Alright, there it is. And we'll go check it out. Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't really be annoyed at that. But it is kind of tedious. You know, everything is the same. It's like, okay, good, I've de-rusted the entire tank. Now I have to do the same thing three more times. To sand it, to prime it, to paint it. It's all the same thing. Point and wait until it reaches 100%. I really wish there would be... I really wish the mechanics of that would be a little bit different. So there we go. In this area, player can put... Oh yeah, English is a bit odd. Can put tanks and found collectibles from extraction missions on display to gain reputation, spend an upgrade panel. Okay. All this... I have to... This panel allows to customize various elements of a room. Available rooms to customize. Let's see. Tank mechanic, workshop, museum, office, painting. Okay. There's the Tiger tank. I was kind of hoping it would show something about the Tiger tank. Tiger 1. There we go. That's pretty cool. You can actually create your own museum like that. That's quite interesting. Oh, and I didn't realize this is actually part of your own shop. So it's not an actual museum, it's your own private museum, so to speak. And there's collectibles. Oh yeah! I was wondering where those have gone. Oh, that's cool. Because I found these in one of the tanks, and I was wondering whether, you know... Whoa. Get out of that. I was wondering whether, you know, when I disassembled, they weren't anywhere in the inventory to find when I disassembled them. And I was wondering, you know, those are actual weapons. They probably have to go to the government to be scrapped or whatever, or is it just sent off to a museum? But no, they're here for you to show. That's pretty cool. So yeah, you have your own museum. Don't really know how you get the reputation points. I guess you wait for people to actually come to your place. The computer here is the same one. God, they need to change that disk. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, let's go back to the workshop. Oh yeah, while it's loading, here's the Panzerkampfwagen 3, the Stug 3. That's pretty cool. The Panzerkampfwagen 4, the Wolverine. That's quite a lot more stuff. Yeah. There's going to be a lot more stuff in the full version. But see, this is what I hope. It's nicely detailed. I mean, look at this workshop. The tanks are fairly nicely detailed as well. The fact that you'll be able to drive them, not sure with what kind of physics, and possibly shoot the guns and such is pretty exciting. But they need to do something about the mechanics of the restoration. It gets quite a bit dull when you have to do this over and over 4 times for each tank. And then assemble it. I wish they worked on that, the mechanics a little bit different, you know, make them a little bit different, make them a bit interesting, each of them. But oh well. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little preview of Tank Mechanic Simulator, the demo version, and I will see you in another preview. Bye bye.